Hey, high achiever. Imagine waking up tomorrow with complete mastery over your communication, emotional intelligence, financial mindset, and mental clarity. Sounds like a productivity hack fantasy, right? But over 2,000 years ago, there was a philosopher who believed this wasn't just possible. He believed it was the ultimate life hack for authentic success. His name was Epictetus, and he was born into slavery. Let that sink in. He had zero control over his circumstances, no personal brand, no influence, no say in his daily routine. He was literally owned by another human being. Yet somehow this man discovered a framework so powerful it transformed him from a physical captive into one of history's most influential teachers of psychological freedom and high-performance mindset. He taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. At first, that might sound like toxic positivity, especially when you're dealing with real challenges. But what he meant was revolutionary. While we can't always control what happens to us, we can master how we respond. And in that response lies our true superpower. Most of us today aren't physically enslaved, but many of us are trapped by our own lack of emotional regulation, poor communication skills, scarcity mindset, and mental overwhelm. We say things that damage our relationships and personal brand. We let anxiety and imposter syndrome sabotage our success. We make financial decisions from fear instead of wisdom. And we allow our minds to spiral with overthinking, comparison, and analysis paralysis. But what if I told you that the same ancient wisdom that freed a Roman slave could also unlock your highest potential? What if the very areas where you feel most out of control, your words, emotions, money, and thoughts, could actually become your greatest competitive advantages? The ancient Stoics understood something our hustle culture has forgotten. True wealth isn't measured in followers or net worth. It's measured in real influence isn't about controlling others. It's about leading yourself. An authentic success isn't having unlimited options. It's about making aligned choices consistently, even when nobody's watching. Life gives you daily opportunities to level up. Someone triggers you in a meeting. That's your chance to practice emotional intelligence and strategic communication. You're tempted to make an impulse purchase. That's your moment to strengthen your abundance mindset. Your brain starts catastrophizing about the future. That's your opportunity to build mental resilience. The beauty of Stoic philosophy is that it doesn't demand perfection. Even Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful leader in the Roman Empire, struggled with self-doubt and overwhelm. In his personal journal, The Original Gratitude Practice, he reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing your humanity. It's about becoming so grounded in your authentic self that external chaos can't derail your vision. When you master your communication, you speak with intention and impact, not reactivity. When you develop emotional intelligence, you choose your state instead of being controlled by triggers. When you build wealth consciousness, money becomes a tool for freedom, not a source of stress. And when you train your mind, you become the CEO of your thoughts, not their victim. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover these 4 pillars of mental wealth. We'll explore ancient wisdom that's more relevant in our digital age than ever, and you'll walk away with actionable strategies you can implement immediately. But here's the deal. This only works if you commit to the process. Each pillar builds on the previous one, so don't skip ahead. Stay with me through every section, and I promise this could be the breakthrough you've been searching for. If you're ready to unlock your potential, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me which of these 4 areas you want to master most, and make sure you're subscribed because this journey to high-performance living is just getting started. Share this with someone who's ready to level up, because real transformation begins with you. Drop this in the comments. I am the architect of my words, emotions, wealth, and mind. Number 1. Master your words, the influence accelerator. There's an ancient proverb: the tongue is small, but it can topple kingdoms. But here's what most people don't realize about communication mastery. Your words aren't just about their impact on others. Every word you speak is either building your personal brand and self-concept or destroying it. You're literally speaking your reality into existence. Seneca, one of Rome's most successful Stoic philosophers and advisor to emperors, spent years studying the power of strategic communication in high-stakes environments. He watched careers skyrocket and crash based on single conversations. He observed relationships flourish or implode through thoughtful or careless words. But his most profound insight came from self-awareness. Every time you communicate, you're either reinforcing your current identity or evolving into your next-level self. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Nowhere is this more true than with your communication patterns. Every conversation is an opportunity to end limiting patterns and begin expressing your highest self. Think about the last time you said something in frustration that you immediately regretted. In that moment, you experienced the cost of unconscious communication. Your words escaped before your wisdom could guide them. Now, imagine if you could harness that power. What if every word you spoke was intentional, aligned, and impactful? The Stoics developed a simple but game-changing practice: the strategic pause. Before speaking, especially in emotionally charged situations, they would create space and ask themselves 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer to any of these was no, they chose silence or found a better approach. But communication mastery isn't just about filtering negative words. It's about the intentional cultivation of positive influence. When you give genuine recognition to others, you're not just improving their day, you're training your brain to notice excellence and opportunity. When you speak words of possibility and growth, you're programming your subconscious mind to look for solutions instead of problems. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "Be like the steady headland where the waves constantly crash. It stands firm, and around it the churning waters find peace." Your conscious communication can be that stability for others. In a world of reactive interactions and cancel culture, your thoughtful words become a source of trust and leadership. Here's a practice that will transform your relationships and influence immediately for the next 7 days. Before speaking in any high-stakes or emotional situation, take 3 conscious breaths. In the first breath, check in with your emotional state. In the second, consider the other person's perspective and needs. In the third, ask what words would serve the highest good of everyone involved. The incredible thing about mastering your communication is the compound effect it creates. When you speak with intention and emotional intelligence, people respond to you differently. They listen more carefully, trust you more deeply, and seek your guidance more often. This isn't manipulation, it's the natural result of becoming someone worth following. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of communication mastery is how it transforms your relationship with yourself. Every time you keep your word, you're building unshakable self-trust. Every time you speak to yourself with compassion and possibility, you're rewiring yourself. Every time you refuse to engage in gossip or complaining, you're choosing to focus your mental energy on what you can control and improve. Remember, your words don't just express your thoughts, they shape them. When you consistently speak possibility, gratitude, and wisdom, your mind begins to default to those patterns automatically. You literally become what you repeatedly say, both to others and to yourself. Your words are the bridge between your inner world and your external impact. Master this bridge, and you master the flow of influence in both directions. Tomorrow we'll explore how this same principle applies to your emotional world. Affirm this daily. I speak with power and purpose, not impulse and reaction. Number 2. Master your emotions. The inner GPS system. Imagine if you woke up every morning and someone else decided what your energy and mood would be for the entire day. Some days they choose anxiety and overwhelm, other days frustration and anger, and occasionally, if you were lucky, they might pick confidence and joy. This is exactly how most high performers live their emotional lives, completely at the mercy of external circumstances, market conditions, and other people's decisions. But here's what changed everything for me, and what the Stoics discovered. Over 2,000 years ago, you are not the victim of your emotions. You are their architect. Your feelings are data, not directives. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and pioneering psychologist, spent years in the most horrific circumstances imaginable. In those concentration camps, he made a discovery that echoes ancient Stoic wisdom. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space exists within you right now. Between every trigger and your emotional reaction, there's a moment, sometimes just a millisecond, where you have complete power to choose your response. The Stoics called this the discipline of desire, not about wanting less, but about emotional intelligence and conscious responding rather than reactive patterns. Here's the mindset shift that might surprise you. Your emotions are not facts, they're interpretations. When someone doesn't respond to your message immediately, the situation is neutral. Your mind creates the narrative that they're ignoring you, disappointed in you, or don't value you. But what if you chose a different story? What if they're in deep work mode, handling a family situation, or planning something positive for you? Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily mental training. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every morning he would prepare himself mentally for the day's challenges, difficult people, unexpected setbacks, and high-pressure decisions. But instead of dreading these situations, he saw them as opportunities to practice emotional mastery. And leadership, try this powerful reframe right now. Think of something that's been triggering stress or frustration lately. Now ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Then ask, what's another way I could interpret this? And finally, which interpretation serves my highest growth and success? The breakthrough happens when you realize you've been the author of your emotional experience all along. You just didn't know you had that creative power. But emotional mastery isn't about toxic positivity or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about choosing responses that empower you rather than drain your energy. When you feel anger, instead, of suppressing it or letting it explode, you can channel it as fuel for positive change and boundary setting. When you experience disappointment, instead of spiraling, you can use it to clarify your values and recalibrate your strategy. The Stoics had a powerful practice called evening reflection, the original mindfulness routine. Each night they would review their day and ask, what emotions did I experience today? Which ones served my growth? Which ones controlled me? How can I respond with more wisdom tomorrow? Here's what happens when you develop emotional intelligence and self-regulation. You stop being afraid of your feelings because you know you can navigate them skillfully. You stop avoiding difficult conversations because you trust your ability to stay centered. You become the calm, confident presence that others gravitate toward in times of uncertainty, which makes you incredibly valuable in leadership and relationships. Remember, every emotion you experience is information, not instruction. Anxiety tells you to pay attention and prepare. Anger tells you something important to you is at stake. Sadness tells you you've lost something meaningful. But none of these emotions get to make your decisions for you. You're the CEO, they're just advisors. Your emotions are your inner GPS system. Like a skilled navigator, you can learn to read the signals, prepare for different conditions, and even influence the journey through your choices and mindset type. This affirmation, if you're ready to take ownership of your emotional world: I am the leader of my emotions. They inform me, but I decide my actions. Number 3, master your money. The freedom generator. Money reveals your character and mindset more than almost anything else in life. It's not just currency, it's crystallized energy, time, and choices. How you earn, spend, and think about money determines whether you live with abundance, consciousness, or scarcity programming, whether you operate from freedom or fear. Seneca was one of the wealthiest individuals in Rome, yet he wrote, "It is not the person who has too little, but the person who craves more, who lives in poverty." This wasn't theoretical philosophy for him, he embodied it. Despite his immense wealth, he regularly practiced voluntary simplicity, choosing modest meals and simple accommodations to remind himself that his happiness and worth weren't dependent on luxury or status symbols. Here's the truth that most personal finance content won't tell you. If you can't master your money mindset, you can't master your life. Every financial decision you make is either moving you toward freedom and abundance or toward limitation and stress. There's no neutral ground in wealth consciousness, but money mastery isn't about extreme frugality or depriving yourself of joy and experiences. It's about aligning your spending with your values and using money as a tool for freedom rather than letting it control your decisions and stress levels. When you make purchases to fill emotional voids, when you're feeling unsuccessful, bored, or trying to project an image, money is using you. When you invest in things that genuinely add value to your life, expand your capabilities, or help you serve others at a higher level, you're using money strategically. The Stoics practiced something called preferred indifference, things that are generally beneficial to have but don't determine your self-worth or happiness. Money falls into this category. It's better to have financial resources than not, but it should never become your master or your identity. Think about your last impulse purchase. You know, that thing you bought that's probably sitting unused somewhere right now. In that moment of purchase, what were you really trying to buy? Was it the item itself, or were you trying to purchase a feeling, success, comfort, excitement, belonging, or validation? Here's a practice that will revolutionize your relationship with money and abundance. Before making any non-essential purchase, pause and ask yourself, what am I really trying to buy here? What feeling or experience am I seeking? If the answer is an emotional state, find a way to cultivate that feeling without spending money first. Often, you'll discover you don't need the purchase at all, but true financial mastery goes beyond just controlling spending. It's about value creation and abundance thinking. The Stoics believed in contributing to the common good. When you focus on serving others through your work, solving real problems, and adding genuine value, money becomes a natural byproduct rather than the primary obsession. This shift in mindset changes everything about how you earn and spend. You start asking, how can I add more value, instead of how can I make more money? The paradox is that this approach often leads to greater financial success because you're focused on contribution rather than just extraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "In the morning, when thou risest unwillingly, let this thought be present: I am rising to the work of a human being." When you see your work as service and impact rather than just a paycheck, you bring excellence and innovation to it, which inevitably leads to greater opportunities and rewards. Here's what transformed my entire financial life. I started tracking not just where my money went, but how I felt after each purchase and what it revealed about my mindset. I created 3 columns: purchase, motivation, and result. What I discovered was eye-opening. The investments that brought lasting satisfaction and growth were always aligned with my values and long-term vision. Books and courses that expanded my skills, experiences with loved ones, tools that helped me serve others better, and assets that generated future income. The impulse purchases, status buys, and emotional spending consistently left me feeling empty or regretful, revealing scarcity thinking patterns I needed to address. This simple practice gave me clarity about my money patterns that no budgeting app ever could. It showed me where I was operating from abundance versus scarcity, growth versus fear. Financial mastery also means understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, between consumption and investment. Every dollar you spend should either maintain your ability to generate value or increase your capacity to serve at a higher level. When you start thinking this way, you naturally begin building wealth and freedom instead of just consuming and spending. Remember, the goal isn't to hoard money or live in deprivation. It's to have enough freedom and resources to be generous, to take calculated risks on your dreams, and to make decisions based on your values rather than financial fear. Money is a tool for freedom, impact, and choice. Master this tool, and you master a significant part of your life experience. Affirm this daily. I use money as a tool for freedom, not a measure of my worth. Number 4, master your mind, the success operating system. Your mind is like a hypercomputer. Every thought you allow to stay is code you're programming into your success operating system. The question is, what kind of results do you want your mental software to produce? Right now, as you're processing this, thousands of thoughts are competing for your attention and mental resources. Worries about future outcomes, replaying past conversations, judgments about what you're hearing, plans for later today, comparisons with others. Most people live their entire lives as passive users of their mental operating system, never realizing they have administrator access to choose which thoughts deserve processing power and which should be deleted. Epictetus taught his students wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. But he wasn't just talking about material wealth. He was talking about mental wealth, the abundance that comes from no longer being enslaved by every random thought that enters your consciousness. Consider this. You wouldn't let strangers walk into your home and rearrange your furniture, yet you allow random thoughts to walk into your mind and completely rearrange your emotional state and energy levels. A single negative thought spiral can hijack your entire day's productivity and mood if you give it permission and processing power. The Stoics developed a practice called prosoche, constant attention to the present moment and vigilant monitoring of your thought patterns. It's not meditation in the modern sense, but more like being a security system for your own mind, deciding which thoughts get access and which ones get filtered out. Here's a practice that will upgrade your mental operating system immediately for the next week. Every time you catch yourself in a negative thought spiral or limiting belief pattern, stop and ask yourself, is this thought serving my growth or sabotaging it? Is it moving me toward my goals or away from them? If it's not serving your highest good, consciously choose to replace it with a thought that does. But mind mastery isn't about forced positivity or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about choosing productive, solution-focused thoughts over destructive, problem-focused ones. Instead of thinking this is impossible and I'm not qualified, you train your mind to think this is challenging and I need to develop the right strategy and skills. Same situation, completely different mental experience and outcomes. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." He understood that while he couldn't control Roman politics, economic conditions, or even his own mortality, he had complete sovereignty over his mental kingdom and thought patterns. Your mind is constantly creating narratives about what events mean. Someone doesn't acknowledge your idea in a meeting, and your mind creates a story about being undervalued. Your competitor launches something similar to your project, and your mind creates a story about being behind or not innovative enough. A potential client doesn't respond immediately, and your mind creates a story about rejection or failure. But here's your superpower. You can rewrite these stories in real time. That person who didn't acknowledge your idea might have been distracted by their own challenges. Your competitor's launch might validate that you're in the right market with the right timing. That potential client's delay might mean they're taking time to make a thoughtful decision. The ancient Stoics had a concept called the discipline of judgment, the practice of separating facts from the stories we tell ourselves about those facts. A fact is, the meeting ran long. A story is, this always happens because no one respects my time. When you master this distinction, you become incredibly powerful because your emotional state and decisions stop being controlled by your interpretations of external circumstances. Try this mental exercise right now. Think of something that's been creating stress or limiting your performance lately. Now separate the actual, objective facts from the story you're telling yourself about those facts. You'll be amazed at how much of your stress and limitation comes from the narrative, not the reality. Your mind is also an incredible problem-solving machine when you direct it properly. Instead of letting it run wild with worst-case scenarios and worry loops, give it specific challenges to solve. Instead of what if everything goes wrong, ask what's the most strategic approach to handle this situation. Your brain loves challenges and puzzles, but it needs clear direction and focus from you. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your thoughts, which determines the quality of your results. High performers ask better questions. How can I add more value? What can I learn from this? How can I turn this challenge into an opportunity? What would the best version of myself do in this situation? Remember, every thought you think is either building the future you want or reinforcing the limitations you need to overcome. You are literally thinking yourself into existence every moment of every day. Your thoughts become your beliefs drive your actions, and your actions create your results. Your mind is your success operating system. Upgrade the software, and you upgrade your entire life experience. Comment, I'm the architect of my thoughts to claim your mental sovereignty. Number 5. The compound effect. How mastery creates exponential success. Here's something powerful that happens when you start developing mastery in these 4 areas. They don't just improve individually. They create a compound effect that transforms your entire life trajectory and success potential. It's like optimizing a high-performance engine. When one component runs perfectly, it enhances all the others. When you master your communication, people start seeking your leadership because your words carry weight and wisdom. When you develop emotional intelligence, you become the calm, confident presence that others trust in high-pressure situations. When you master your money mindset, you gain the freedom to make decisions based on vision rather than survival mode. And when you train your mind, you see opportunities and solutions where others see only problems and obstacles. But the real magic happens in the synergy between these 4 pillars. Let me share a success story that illustrates this perfectly. Last year I worked with David, a talented software developer who felt stuck despite his technical skills. He was brilliant at coding, but struggled with imposter syndrome, had difficulty communicating his ideas in meetings, lived paycheck to paycheck despite a good salary, and was constantly overwhelmed by negative self-talk and comparison with others. 6 months after implementing these 4 pillars, David sent me an update that was incredible to read. By applying these principles systematically, he had not only negotiated a significant promotion and salary increase, but had launched a profitable side consulting business. His relationships with colleagues and family had transformed because he learned to communicate from confidence rather than insecurity. Most importantly, he said he felt like the person he always knew he could become, focused, purposeful, and unstoppable. The beautiful thing about Stoic wisdom is that it creates what psychologists call an upward spiral. Each small victory in one area builds confidence and momentum for growth in the other areas. When you successfully control your words in a challenging conversation, you prove to yourself that you can manage your emotions too. When you resist an impulse purchase, you strengthen the same mental discipline that helps you redirect limiting thoughts. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The Stoics took this further. They understood that mastery in these 4 areas creates exponential results. Each day of practice doesn't just make that day better, it makes every future day easier and more successful. Think about the person you were 12 months ago. What were you struggling with then? What opportunities did you miss because you weren't operating at your highest level? Now imagine the person you could become 12 months from now if you consistently applied these principles with intention and commitment. The gap between who you are and who you could be isn't as wide as you think. It's just a series of small, daily choices compounded over time. Here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to master all 4 areas simultaneously. In fact, trying to do that often leads to overwhelm and giving up. Instead, choose one pillar that resonates most with you right now and focus on that for the next 30 days. Let mastery in that area naturally influence and improve the others. The Stoics believed in sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things. Your inner work doesn't just benefit you. It creates ripple effects that benefit everyone in your sphere of influence. When you become more intentional in your communication, you reduce conflict and increase collaboration in your relationships. When you develop emotional intelligence, you create a more positive environment for your team and family. When you handle money wisely, you model financial wisdom for the next generation. When you direct your thoughts constructively, you become a source of solutions and innovation rather than problems and complaints. But perhaps the most profound compound effect is how mastery changes your relationship with challenge and uncertainty itself. Instead of seeing difficulties as things that happen to you, you start seeing them as opportunities to practice your skills and prove your growth. Every difficult conversation becomes a chance to practice communication mastery. Every stressful situation becomes an opportunity for emotional intelligence. Every financial decision becomes practice for abundance thinking. Every worry becomes a chance to redirect your mental energy toward solutions. This shift in perspective from victim to practitioner, from reactive to responsive, changes everything about how you experience life and pursue success. Comment below if you're ready to turn every challenge into a growth opportunity. Every challenge is my chance to level up. Your transformation starts now. We began this journey with Epictetus, a man who transformed from physical slave to spiritual teacher and philosopher. His secret wasn't changing his external circumstances. It was mastering himself within those circumstances. Today, you have the same choice he made over 2,000 years ago. The same opportunity for transformation and freedom. You now understand that true success isn't about having unlimited options or perfect circumstances. It's about making aligned choices consistently, especially when no one is watching. You've learned that your words, emotions, money, and mind aren't separate areas of life. They're interconnected pillars that either support your growth and success or undermine your potential. But here's what I want you to remember most. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming intentional. This isn't about never making mistakes. It's about learning from them faster and more effectively. Every time you pause before speaking, you're practicing communication mastery. Every time you choose your response to a challenging emotion, you are developing emotional intelligence. Every time you align your spending with your values, you're building abundance consciousness. Every time you redirect a limiting thought, you're strengthening your mental sovereignty and success mindset. The ancient Stoics faced wars, economic crashes, political upheaval, and personal tragedies. They didn't have easy lives, but they had something better and more valuable. They had unshakable inner strength that came from mastering these 4 fundamental areas. That same strength and resilience is available to you. Your transformation starts with a single decision, the decision to take full ownership of your inner world and personal development. Not because life is fair, it isn't. Not because it will be easy, it won't be. But because you deserve to live as the master of your own experience rather than as a victim of circumstances and external conditions. 6 months from now, You'll either be the same person with the same limitations and challenges, or you'll be someone who has learned to navigate life with wisdom, intention, and inner strength. You'll either still be making excuses, or you'll be making progress. The choice is entirely yours, and the time to make it is right now. Remember Epictetus's transformative words, "No one can hurt you without your permission." Today you withdraw that permission. Today you begin the journey from reaction to response, from chaos to control, from limitation to freedom. The 4 pillars of mastery are waiting for you. Your higher self is counting on you. And somewhere, in the eternal realm of wisdom, the ancient Stoics are cheering you on. Take the first step. Start today. Start now. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to level up, smash that like button. Share this with someone who's ready to unlock their potential. Drop your commitment in the comments below and subscribe for more life-changing content. Your journey to mastery and success begins now. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. Today, I choose mastery over mediocrity, intention over reaction, and freedom over limitation.